With Bitcoin sitting right around 28, 29,000, the MACD is looking a little weak, and so is our macro outlook for the dollar. The US dollar is losing its reserve currency status. China and Brazil have reached a deal to trade in their own currencies, ditching the US dollar as an intermediary. This comes after France is starting to purchase energy with its own currency. The 5 countries in BRICS now contribute 31.5% of global GDP, while G7 shares have fallen 30%. BRICS is expected to contribute over 50% of global GDP by 2030. This is perhaps the most important macro chart that doesn't get shared much. Of course, GDP per capita in G7 countries is much higher than in BRICS, particularly given the population difference. BRICS is 3.2 billion. The G7 is only 800 million. The G7 is predominantly your Euro countries and the US, of course, Canada, and the US is still the leading contributor to the global GDP, with a close second with China. Meanwhile, US leadership is busy pumping gender and social issues, ESG narratives, priorities. Urgent leadership improvement is needed, or else this is going to get ugly fast. I get social issues are important to some, but your global GDP, how you are globally with your trade, what people think of us is also important for jobs in the long run. If everyone starts purchasing oil and energy in their own currencies, your dollar is going to lose strength. Some people even say this is what could lead to World War III. The US dollar has been the backbone of global economy for decades. Several countries even use the US dollar as an official currency, like El Salvador, Panama, Ecuador. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. 44 countries agreed to a global monetary system that would be underpinned by the US dollar, which in turn was backed by gold. That system was done away with in 1971. We're not backed by gold anymore. We're backed by debt. The de-dollarization is happening everywhere. Central banks bought gold at a faster pace last year than they have any year since 1987. This signals a desire for countries to back their own currencies with gold rather than the US dollar. So while dumping the dollar, while dumping US treasuries, they're purchasing gold. And what we also see is they're purchasing Bitcoin. Most of the time, they're purchasing Bitcoin without saying anything about Bitcoin, or in China's case, saying negative things about Bitcoin to help drive the price down, and then they buy in. Trade is shifting away from the purview of the United States dollar. Take a look how volume of Chinese-Russian trade denominated in the Yuan has spiked since the start of 2022. One of the things that's kind of set this up is the US taking action, the G7 countries taking action, and removing Russia from the SWIFT banking system. So they've created their own. And then now they've started BRICS. They're using the Chinese dollar, the Yuan, and they are trading for everything in Chinese currency. But it's not all doom and gloom for the dollar. We still have almost 60% of the world's foreign exchange reserves. It's slowly being chipped away, but there's still some fight left in the US dollar. Now what we can do is we can get a little outlook on our markets themselves. You can see that Bitcoin has hit 29,000. We've dropped back down slightly under in this resistance zone that we've drawn, which isn't a bad thing. We're accumulating underneath resistance for another maybe push up. Your volume on the MACD has kind of dwindled, dried up a little bit. But as long as we keep pushing up, this is a good outlook. And then real quick, we'll look at the SPY. We'll get a market look for the SPY. Get out of the... So market outlook for the SPY, you can see our long-term trend down. Doesn't look as pretty. We've broken to the upside of this downwards trend that we've been in since the first of the year. But you can see we have some dramatic gaps that might fill. We might work our way back down to underneath 400. Some people even saying the bigger crash is coming because of the poor macro outlook. So if you're enjoying these videos, give them a like, subscribe to the channel. We're just trying to grow and learn together to be better prepared to learn when we need to allocate our funds. And I will reiterate, starting next Thursday, $1,000 portfolio challenge, and I'll post a little update here in a little bit to basically what I'm looking at, my strategy that I watch and the way that I'm going to be trading. And I know some of you are interested in some of the day trading stuff beyond your boring investment. Thank you.